The United States is one of the richest, most powerful countries on the planet. It dominates the NBA, the NFL, the Olympics. It has produced the greatest athletes in the history of modern sport. So why in over 90 years of trying has it never won a World Cup? And more importantly, is 2026 finally the year that changes? In this video, I'm going to break down the real reasons the US has never lifted that trophy. Some of them will genuinely surprise you, and then walk you through exactly why this tournament, right now in 2026, is different from anything that's come before. Stay with me, because the answer to that second question is not what you'd expect. First, let's get one thing straight. The US is not bad at football. People assume that, but it's actually not true. The US qualified for the very first World Cup back in 1930 and reached the semifinals. They beat England in 1950, which was one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history, and in 2002 they made the quarterfinals. So the question isn't, does the US care about football? The question is, why, with all the money and all the athletes, have they never made it all the way to the top? There are three reasons, and they're connected. Reason one, football was always competing for attention. In Brazil, football is everything. In Germany, it's everything. In the US, the best athletes grow up choosing between football, the American kind, basketball, baseball, and track. The talent pool for soccer, as Americans call it, has always been split. The country's elite athletes simply went elsewhere. That's starting to change. Mills has exploded. Youth academies are everywhere. But for decades, the US was developing its best players later and less intensively than the rest of the world. Reason 2. The professional league problem. In Europe, the best players in the world compete against each other every single week. That level of competition sharpens players in ways that can't be replicated in a training camp. For years, US players didn't have that environment at home, and the ones who went to Europe were often fighting just to get playing time. The difference now? American players are not just going to Europe. They're starting. They're playing in the biggest leagues, against the best defenders, in front of the biggest crowds. Christian Pulisic at AC Milan, Weston McKennie at Juventus, Gio Reyna at Borussia Dortmund. These are not bench players. These are starters at elite clubs. Reason 3. Tournament experience. Winning a World Cup isn't just about talent. It's about knowing how to win under that specific kind of pressure. The US has historically buckled in the knockout stages in big moments. Against elite opponents, the experience gap showed. But this generation has something previous ones didn't. Almost every key player on the current US squad has already played Champions League football, the toughest club competition in the world. That experience doesn't come from coaching. It only comes from doing it repeatedly on the highest stage. So those three things, talent split, league development, and tournament inexperience, explain the last 90 years. But here's the thing. Every single one of those problems is either solved or being solved right now, in real time. And there's one more factor I haven't mentioned yet, maybe the biggest one of all, that makes 2026 genuinely unlike any other World Cup in American history. The US is hosting. That matters more than people realize. In World Cup history, the host nation has an extraordinary record. 8 of the 20 World Cup winners have been the host country. Not because of home cooking from referees, because of crowd energy, no travel, home stadiums, and a nation that is fully emotionally behind its team for the first time. Americans who never watched a game in their lives are going to be watching this tournament. The noise in those stadiums in New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, Kansas City is going to be unlike anything the US men's team has ever played in front of. Add that home advantage to the most talented, most experienced generation of American players in history, and for the first time, the US is not just a participant in this tournament, they are a genuine threat. Whether you've watched football your whole life, or this is the first video you've ever seen about it, this is the tournament to pay attention to. And I'm going to be here every single week, breaking it down in a way that actually makes sense. If that sounds useful to you, hit subscribe, it really does help. And I'll see you in the next one.